Hello, I'm Carla Mingo, and today I will be talking to you about how to create a respect agreement. I also have with me my colleague and coworker, Suzanne.
Hey, hi Carla. It's good to be here. Let's get started on this.
Okay, so guys, let's jump right into how to create a respect agreement. So we're going to first start with explaining why we're here today. So Suzanne, can you tell everyone what we're going to cover in this video?
Sure can. First of all, we're just going to talk about the respect agreement and what it is, who uses it, who's it for, why we use it, how do we build it, and when do we use it.
Awesome. So are you ready to get started?
Let's go. Okay, well, let's just get started. This is what a respect agreement looks like, and hopefully you've seen this in and around classrooms on your campuses. It is a district required document that defines the culture of respect in a community. In this case, we're talking about your classroom community. So it really defines how people interact and engage with one another in your environment. In order to address how people interact with one another in the environment, you first have to look at those relationships. So, looking at the respect agreement, we have several parts of it. These quadrants define the different relationships in the classroom. So, we're going to talk about how interactions take place within those relationships. There are also some other parts to the respect agreement, and I'm going to ask Carla to step in and really take a deep dive into each of those quadrants.
Thank you, Suzanne. So let's start with the first quadrant, which is student to student. In this quadrant, this is where we have our students put in their suggestions on how they want to treat each other in the classroom. So, for example, maybe they may suggest to be kind and help each other, or if you borrow something, give it back. These are the kinds of suggestions that kids may make for your classroom. It will be different based on grade level and based on age and based on your environment. And the reason this is important is because respect looks different for every student. So it's important that you get input from everyone in your class and create this as a community. Suzanne, is there anything you want to add?
I think this is a great opportunity just to find out what's important to the students and how they feel respected within their space.
Absolutely. So let's move to the next quadrant. We're going to talk about student to teacher. Suzanne, would you like to walk us through this quadrant?
Yes, this is a really important quadrant for teachers because this is where they get to say how they feel respected by their students. For instance, you can sort of put your pet peeves in there. When I was a classroom teacher, I always included in this quadrant, I feel respected when you wait until after I give the lesson to ask to go to the restroom. That was something I always included because I felt respected if they would stay in my class long enough for me to complete the lesson.
Yes, and that is exactly right. This is an opportunity for the teacher to express her expectations and get your students' input as well, because you'll be surprised at what students may say, how they want to respect the teacher.
Mhm.
So the next quadrant is teacher to student. So this quadrant is about how the students want the teacher to treat them. I think this is so important because students have different definitions of respect and what they need. And this is an opportunity to collect the needs of all of your students and as a community come up with several strategies that you're going to incorporate in this respect agreement. So there are things that students may say, such as treat us as equals, right? Or listen to us, or try not to yell. So now we get to really get our students' voice on what do you need to feel safe in this environment. Suzanne, is there anything you want to add to this quadrant?
I think this is a great tool for capturing student voice and really developing that classroom culture because you've made it yours by incorporating those students' needs and their desires for the classroom.
Absolutely. So the next quadrant that we're going to discuss is the self to self quadrant, which I think is one of the most important quadrants in this respect agreement. Suzanne, you want to walk us through just kind of what the self to self is all about?
Yes, it's really important because it goes beyond the classroom. This is really helping students develop those self regulation skills, self management skills, because it's those tapes that they're playing to themselves over and over. We want to turn those, what can be very negative tapes, into very positive statements. Learning to, learning to say things like, I can be brave, I can do hard things. It's okay not to know something. I don't know it yet. Using that power of yet, turning those feelings of inadequacy that students may have into strengths, telling them that yes, you can do this, and teaching them to say that to themselves. That is so important in building students' regulation skills.
That was absolutely wonderful. I do not have anything else to add. That was beautifully said. Yes, very important quadrant. Thank you.
Well, we've already gotten through those quadrants. There's still a couple more parts to look at on the respect agreement. And while we want everything to go smoothly in our classroom, it doesn't always happen that way, does it?
No.
So, Carla, can you walk us through this box that tells us what to do when things don't go exactly right?
Absolutely. So, when things are not going right in your classroom, or some of the respect agreements have been violated, or it didn't take place, you have this box here that you can go ahead and fill in while you're creating your respect agreement and decide as a class, what do we do to make things right? This is something you guys can come up with together, maybe 3 to 5 strategies. I recommend no more than 5, of just some basic things that you can do, like maybe acknowledge someone or apologize to the person that where you maybe want to make it right. And so this box is really good, so you already know ahead of time what the plan is when things does not go well.
You said the key word plan. It's important to have a plan for when things don't go exactly right.
Absolutely. And along with that plan, at the very bottom, you have the weekly expectations goal. So, the way this will work is that if something goes awry in the classroom and you see some trends happening in your classroom, you can start with the let's make it right and use some of those strategies, but then maybe also setting a goal for the class. So, for example, if there are a lot of arguing going on in your class, and you guys decide how you want to make it right, maybe set a goal for that week. Guys, this week, our expectation is that we're not going to argue with each other. We're going to actually sit down and talk through any of our challenges together. So that goal will be tied directly to whatever respect agreement strategy that,
That you've chosen, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And
And yeah, that works perfectly because you can also say, I've seen a lot of gossiping. I've heard a lot of gossiping. So this week we're going to work on no drama in the classroom. Or there's been a lot of bullying going on. So this week we're going to put as our goal to be nice and say affirming things to one another.
absolutely. And then you can reinforce that if the class meets the goal with your reinforcement system.
Great idea.
Okay. So now that we've talked about the respect agreement and the components, let's talk about why we use it. So the respect agreement is going to build positive relationships in your classroom. It honors students' life experiences, values, and beliefs. And it also validates their voices and sense of belonging. This is really important to create that culture in your classroom. Suzanne, anything you want to add to that?
I think you got it. It's got a lot of benefits.
Yes, it does.
The benefits of using the respect agreement are really evident in the outcomes that you experience when you use this with fidelity. One of those is that it creates a safe, supportive, and positive learning environment. Additionally, the respect agreement allows you to develop relationships in an authentic way because you've captured the voices of everyone involved. And finally, the respect agreement allows you to build a feeling of trust needed to encourage academic risk taking. When students feel safe in a space, they're going to be engaged and participate and achieve more.
So thank you, Suzanne. Let's talk about how to use the respect agreement. So one of the ways is to make sure you post it in a highly visible space, large enough so that your students can see it. Also, reference the respect agreement frequently when acknowledging good behavior and when making corrections. You also want to review and adjust the respect agreement whenever necessary. And also, when new students join the classroom, remember to familiarize them with the respect agreement. So I hope this video was helpful for you in creating a respect agreement. And as we close, I just want to ask Suzanne, do you have anything you want to add before we close out?
I just hope that all of you know a little bit more about respect agreements and how to use them in order to build a positive, collaborative culture in your classroom.
Yes. If you have any questions about how to create a respect agreement or need any assistance, please feel free to reach out to any of the specialists in the PBIS department. Thank you for watching.